All right, brothers and sisters, welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. I'm your brother, Pianki Patai Matulu, Neferamon Ra, and we got another good show for you all. We got our brother, the King, Metuhotep Jallow, and he's going to be dropping some jewels on us. But before we get into that, I'm going to do my usual greeting. I'm going to say Hotep to my fellow Kemetic brothers and sisters. I'm going to say God bless to all the Christian brothers and sisters out there. I'm going to say Shalom to all the Hebrew brothers and sisters. I'm going to say Islam to all the Moors. Assalamu alaikum to all the brothers and sisters in the NOI. And I'm going to say Jambo to all my brothers and sisters throughout the diaspora who are struggling in the wilderness of the United States and beyond. I say that greeting for one reason, because I don't care what ideology you follow. If you are Black, I'm with you, and I hope that you are with me. Brother, introduce yourself to the people and let us know what it is we're going to be laying down.
Okay, cool. Glad to be on this platform. My name is Metuhotep Jallow Lawazi Sarah. People know me as Metuhotep Jallow or Metu Jallow. My name, it comes from all over Africa, so it's a Pan-African name. So it's Metuhotep Ma'at. It comes from ancient Kemet, the Nile Valley civilization. Jallow is my tribe. The tribe is called the Fulani tribe. They adopted me. And then Lawazi is Zulu, which means he who has knowledge. And I tend to pride myself in the fact that I've researched. And the two topics we're going to go into who I am, and the other two topics we'll be going into is about interracial relationships and religion. So who am I? I come from the dirty streets of East St. Louis, Illinois, born and raised. This is my stomping grounds. Came from a Christian background. Actually started off in the Catholic Church. So Catholicism was the foundation of my life. That's where I started. And from there, I branched off to other branches of Christianity. I went from the Catholic Church to the Baptist Church to the God in Christ, the Methodist, Pentecostal, and lastly, the Apostolic Church. And I was baptized 3 times, because it was all these cliques. So I got baptized in the Catholic Church. They sprinkled water on me and said in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Then when I got to the Baptist Church, the Baptist told me that I was baptized wrong. I got to get dipped in the water in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Then I got to the Apostolic Church. They said you got to be baptized in the name of Jesus. So all these initiations I was a part of, not knowing that you were baptized at birth. And so coming from that, I was actually a youth minister. I was writing a lot of songs for Christianity. I really was thinking that this person that we know as Jesus was really coming. I really put my hope and all my faith into this thing until I found out otherwise. I ended up reading this book called The Book Your Church Don't Want You to Read. Is God Dead or Just Your Church? And reading this book, and it started referencing other books. It started referencing a book called 16 Crucified Saviors. It referenced John G. Jackson's book, Man, God, and Civilization. So I ended up just picking up all these books, and I ended up learning from this brother named Dr. Ray Hagan. And from learning from him, he just told me that if you can prove me wrong, I will pay your bills for the rest of my life. So I took it up on a challenge. I'm like, okay, you willing to do that? Bet. So he just told me to do some research. What was interesting, but the research he told me to look into, I already heard about it in the Catholic Church, because he told me to research the Council of Nicaea. The Catholic Church teaches you about it, but they don't teach you the truth about what really happened in the Council of Nicaea. And then all the ecumenical council meetings that followed, and not knowing that they still have council meetings to this day about Christianity. So I left the church. Then I ended up for a short time becoming a Hebrew Israelite. And then I'm still a 5%. I'm just not religion. I respect the teachings of Father Allah, but Clarence 13X, but I'm not a registered 5%. I always be a 5%. Then I ended up being a part of the Nation of Islam. Never did register. Then I started researching this guy named Marcus Garvey. Never heard the name before. I said, who's this guy? and started digging into his history and his legacy, his contribution, his philosophies and opinions, and it just really just took me aback. And from there, I've studied ancient chemists. So right now, I'm a Kemetic Pan-African Garveyite, and I am dedicated to liberation and spiritual resurrection of Black people around the world.
Powerful, 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 brother. And you know, from the first time I talked to you, I was very, very impressed. And one of the reasons I was impressed is I'm 43 years old, and I believe I got 10 years on you. And in my opinion, you are far and beyond where I was in wisdom and in maturity uh, at your age. And so it just blew me away. You mentioned that you got into Garvey. What do you say to people who like to point out that Garvey was a Christian?
Well, Garvey was a Pan-African, and his philosophy is race first. And that's not coming out of the church. That's coming out of someone who really studied and really looked at African people globally. So he gave us so at the time, Europeans had a song mocking Black people, and the song was "Every nation has a flag but the coon." So the only African flag at that time that was waving was the Ethiopian flag. So he ended up giving us the red, black, and green flag that eliminates barriers and borders. Every Black person on the planet, that flag is for. And it don't matter whether you're from Nigeria, whether you're from Ghana, Senegal, Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, from Mozambique, Brazil. That is our national and international flag as a people. And to find out the significance of the colors, the red represents the blood we shed, and the blood we must shed in order to get our liberation. Black represents the people. We are the carbon copy of the universe. We're celestial people. We're stardust. Green represents the land we lost and land we will get back, and also the money that we will prosper from after our liberation. See, liberation is not our objective, it's the goal. So people say, why do you say that? See, once you get liberated, you learn to feed, shelter, clothe, protect. You be able to put yourself in a position of power once you liberate. So that's the goal. It's not the idea. That's not something I'm trying to do. That's something I'm trying to be.
Excellent, excellent, my brother. And so as we talked about, we're gonna jump into this interracial dating and interracial relationships, interracial marriages, or whatever you want to call it. The reason being, recently in the news, we've been hearing about this comedian and talk show host, Lonnie Love. She, I'm gonna say, be polite and say, plus-sized Black woman who dates a white man, and she is very opinionated on Black men and whether or not we can be faithful to Black women, whether or not we can adequately support Black women. And then on the other hand, on the other end of the spectrum, we got, what's the girl name? The mixed girl, Meghan Markle, who is married to the quote unquote prince, I believe it's Prince Harry or whatever his name is. And she getting a lot of flack in the media for apparently not wanting to be a part of the royal family. So let's speak to that, if you will, about why, in my opinion, I just give my spiel and then I'll let you build. In my opinion, interracial relationships are a detriment to the Black community. I believe that any Black man who is worth his salt in this world has a responsibility to be with a Black woman. When we look at how the enemy has gone out of his way to separate us from our families, whether it's when we got off of those slave ships, selling us, emasculating us, doing everything he could to create a situation where there was a lack of respect, a lack of structure, a lack of family in our community that permeates to this very day. When we get up into the 20th century and we look at how they did everything they could to institute laws and rules and regulations, even to the point of giving the Black woman benefits that she can only attain, benefits that she, in most cases, needed, but could only attain if the Black man was out of the household. Pumping drugs and guns into our neighborhoods, and then arresting us for possession of those very drugs and guns that they put into our poor neighborhoods, put liquor stores on every corner. This strategy, if you will, of poisoning our minds, bodies, and spirits in a fashion to make us, or to get us to a point where we couldn't function as men and fathers. And then having the result that it had, where you had someone like me whose parents were never married, being a product of a quote unquote broken home, as I say, a home that was never even intact. I think it was strategic. I think it was planned. And I think that every Black man has an obligation and a duty to be with and uplift the Black woman the same way every other man, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican, whatever, does with his woman. Somehow we lost that along the way. And I think that it takes a weak man, a weak Black man, to go outside of his race and pick any other woman, not just a white woman. People get it twisted because they think we're just talking about white women. I mean any other woman over a Black woman, with everything that she has been through and suffered for our benefit. And that's just my opinion on it. I don't think that there's any stronger being on this planet than a Black woman. I don't think that there's any being who has been more disrespected, more denigrated, and more ostracized than a Black woman. And for us to join into that by choosing to be with anybody but her, to me, is disgraceful. So I'm gonna let you build on that for a minute and give your opinions, if you have any, on these media stories regarding these so-called Black females and their choices.
Okay, well, I'm going to come from a few schools of thought when it comes to that, and I agree with all of them. But the thing is, yeah, it takes a weak man to go outside of his race. And the thing about it is what's known as the fantasy of racial assimilation. All right. So a lot of our brothers are chasing a fantasy, even sisters chasing a fantasy. But once you chase a fantasy, that means you believe in a fairy tale. And the most popular fairy tale ending is they live happily ever after. History does not agree with that. There is no history of that being a fact. And so our brother Leonard Jeffries talks about what's known as VIPs. The VIPs are your values, interests, and principles. So when someone take your VIPs from you and install theirs in you, everything you do, subconsciously and or consciously, will be to advance their values, their interests, and their principles. So our value has been put on this white woman makes me feel better about myself. This white man makes me feel better about myself because deep down it's a self-esteem issue. Because if I look at her as this Mary and this God figure, getting with her makes me feel like I'm closer to God. And if this white man is, if Jesus is white and this white man is white, I'm closer to Jesus with this man. So it's all intertwined with the religion. It comes through us through the educational system. And I look at our brother El Maliki El Shabazz, brother Malcolm X. This is what he said. He said the reason why black men give a white woman is because you got to get a black woman messed up to do what a white woman would do sober. So when you look at that, a white woman would just let you do anything to her. So it makes the black man feel like he's in a position of power, but he's not. It still goes back to his VIPs, his values, interests, and principles. There's another brother by the name of he wrote a book called White Face Black Mask, Frank Fanon. He said the reason why black men give a white woman is because he hates himself. So he don't want to be reminded of anything of himself. So he give us something so a white woman to produce a child that is lighter than him, that don't look like him. So a black man who goes outside his race to get a white woman or just any other woman besides a black woman, he's really spitting on his mama. Your image of beauty as a boy is your mother. Your mom, Dr. Ben said, your mama is your God, even if she's a prostitute. But if you look outside of what your mom is, you're disrespecting her, and also lets me know where your political views is, especially when I see a lot of people who's talking all this stuff. You can't talk black and sleep white at the same time. It's an oxymoron. But it's a self-esteem issue. Something is wrong with that brother with that white woman. And then see, but on the other hand, when white people get with black people, it's a business thing. Because white women know that women generally live longer than black men. So whatever wealth he gets comes back to them. So I look at it as the white supremacists have what I call a hold card. You play poker, you got a hold card. So it looks like you winning. You can throw your cards down. You getting all this money that it just looks like you won, but you don't know that the person, your opponent, has these two hold cards. So the closer you get to like you about to get, our brother getting all this money in NBA, NFL, getting all this, getting closer and closer. He just having this fantasy of, man, what I'm doing, I'm spending. And then as soon as he get ready to hit his lap, they got that hold card, Becky. They always have that hold card waiting for you. But we got to understand that we have been dismantled as a people. And what's interesting, when I see these interracial relationships, the white man in the relationship that has a child by a black woman, he's more honest with that child than the white woman that have a black child by a black man. See, that white man would say, I have a black child. Remind that black girl, you're a black girl. Remind that boy, he's a black boy. But that white woman that have a black child by that black man, she'll say, oh, you mixed, you interracial, you biracial. That's an interesting fact, because every time I see these white men, he'll tell that child, you black. But that white woman will say, no, you're not biracial. But that's what really causes paranoia. It causes a lot of psychological issues with that child, with the white woman, because the child thinks they're mixed. There's no such thing as a mixed race. But that's the stuff that's being perpetuated. She's ashamed that she has a black child. And really, when I'm looking at it from my perspective, there's a family feud going on within a white community. The white woman's getting fed up with the white man, so she said, I'm not going to create another white child by you. She runs to the black man. With the black man, he just sitting back with low self-esteem, glad the fact that he got him a little Becky on his arm and get her. But not knowing that the well-being of black women is in the hands of black men. We need to stand up as black men to protect our women, because what was it last year? They said over 60,000 black women went missing. That's our fault. We have to put that on our shoulders. That's what spirituality is so important. That's why I started embracing African spirituality, because it says that you have the power to intervene on behalf of yourself. It's about accountability. So whatever has happened, it's our fault. Religion say you blame it on somebody else. No, the devil made me do it, or I wouldn't. It's always something other than you. So we have to take on the amount as black men to stand up for our women and stop chasing after these white women. Then what's interesting is you don't even have to chase after that white woman. That's why I say you have to be a weak man to be with a white woman. You don't have to do nothing to get with a white woman, because she's chasing a fantasy. Their fantasy is once you go black, you don't go back. And what's interesting, I was looking online, they had a male enhancement pills for white men, right? And the slogan for it was, it was basically saying, once you take this, what does it say? something about once you take this, you won't go back. It's something to the fact of it's enhancing white men's genitalia.
Wow.
So, we have to go back to loving ourselves. Our brother Kwame Ture, Stoker Kwame, said that we must first develop an undying love for our people. We got to love our people no matter what. We got to bring that male-female relationship back, because the thing is, what made African people globally strong? Our family unit, our deity was the family, the mother, the father, and the child. But religion came in, busted the doors, and said there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. So in the mind, on the subconscious level, if a woman said that God didn't need a woman to produce a child, that Mary didn't need a man, I don't need a man. All I need is Jesus. So you abandon your man for this fantasy of the sky daddy, and anything that looked like that sky daddy, you fall in love with. So our VIPs have to be reestablished.
Powerful, brother. Powerful. And let me ask you this: when it comes to these interracial relationships, what do you say to Black people who will say, "Well, Harry Belafonte supported Dr. King and Malcolm X, and he had a white wife," or Frederick Douglass married a white woman after his first wife died, and how can we say that they weren't in support of Black people? Or somebody like a James Baldwin, and these are men who I respect. But what would you say to a Black person who would raise that as sort of a defense for dating outside their race?
Well, okay. First off, Malcolm X never had a white wife. Uh, when it comes to all other people like James Baldwin, Harry Belafonte, it's still a self-esteem issue. You can help us, but I understand you sick. You still sick. They don't mean you not sick dealing with these people. Even when you look at Frederick Douglass, for years he was with a Black woman. No one talks about that. They always talk about the end of his life. For years, all his children were birthed by a Black woman. The end of his life, he get with a white woman. But that's something that we can't argue with him now. He's not here. But but those that do that, like Harry Belafonte, that was doing stuff for Black people. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's something going on. It's still, he must have that whole time had a little doubt about Black people to get with a white woman. You could not have been that strong to get with a white woman over a Black woman. It's a minimum of 20 women per one man. For you to go outside your race to look for something else, that means there's something that you don't feel good about yourself. Begin with a sister. With all the trauma that we have been through, the last thing I want to do is get with a white woman. Because my mom said it better. He said no woman will ever love a Black man better than a Black woman from her.
Facts.
Because she had been through the most hell. She was with you when you was getting your ass beat. She saw that all that. So when you say relationship, comes from the root word is the word relate. How can I relate to a white woman when her people were the ones that were inflicting the pain on her? And what's interesting is a lot of brothers think that white woman is gentler than a white man because she's not the one that's actually doing the killing. But majority of the killers that white men are inflicting on Black people.
Hold on for 1 second, bro. 1 second. Your audio is starting to get a little choppy. Give me 1 second. Peace, family. We apologize. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. We're going to pick back up with that question. And I was asking our brother, and he was breaking down, what do we say to people who like to raise examples like Harry Belafonte, James Baldwin, Frederick Douglass, and one person I didn't mention was Quincy Jones, who have contributed to Black causes, whose talents have sort of raised the paradigm for Black people across this country. but who have dated outside of their race. And our brother was breaking that down before we started having those technical difficulties. So I'm gonna let you continue on, brother.
Okay. Yeah, those people, they had a self-hatred mentality on the subconscious level. You can hate yourself subconsciously. People don't know that. You don't say it out loud, but your actions show self-hatred. Matter of fact, when you look at our great sister, you was naming our brothers. They got some sisters that got that made some good contributions to black people, but married white. Like our sister, peace be upon her, our sister, uh, uh, what's the sister's name? I just got him. Maya Angelou. She married a white man. Out of
Good
all the
example.
phenomenal things that she done, she actually married 3 white men. You got
Wow.
how can you say all this stuff to inspire black people and then you marry a white man? You know what I'm saying? That's just like going outside
Wow.
with a crushed sleeve sweater on. You indecisive. You
Hmm.
want to be warm, not really. You want to be for black people, but
Hmm.
not really. Because I remember I knew a sister, she wanted to start a movement of brothers and sisters to come together. And she was like, Metu, I know you're a good organizer. What's the first thing we should do? I said, the first thing we should do with this group is that we should bring the brothers and the sisters together so that when we come out in the community will see a family structure together. So they can look like, oh, I want to have that. Oh, I'm not looking for no brother. Like, so that's the first thing we should be looking for is a family. That's what they broke up. After the so-called slavery era was over with, black people was coming together. I need to find my husband. I need to find my daughter. I need to find we were bringing pieces of the puzzle together. Now we don't know who is who, what is what. We don't even court no more. You don't know where this woman come from. You don't know where this man come from. And then we tend to blame ourselves for the stuff that's going on. That he was traumatized before you got in that relationship with him. He don't, and she don't know. He don't know where she's coming from. So we just moving in this level of dysfunction. But we have to realize that we have to we have to let go of the hand of white people. We got to stop trusting them to give us something that's going to be beneficiary for our development. You have the power to intervene on behalf of yourself. You have to love yourself, do for self, teach yourself, and supply for yourself. The man. If you depend on a man who puts you in no position to give you your freedom, you'll never be free. Because if he can give it to you with one hand, he can take it away with another hand or with the same hand.
Absolutely.
White people have angelicalized themselves within the minds of us to where when they do wrong, you don't even believe it. In the face of looking at it, it's like,
In
nah,
the
he didn't do
face
it.
of it.
You looking at it.
Man.
You'll look, they beat Rodney King's ass on film. And they told you what you see ain't what you saw. And you say,
Absolutely.
oh, okay, you mean Tim, I didn't see an ass whooping? That's a game they play on us. They already had a 400-year head start. But we got to realize that we have to do for ourselves. You have to love yourself first. Look yourself in the mirror. I teach children when you at home, no matter how much money you have in your pocket, whenever you see your reflection in your house, give yourself some change. Like, how you doing, brother? Oh, you looking good, sister. Do that ritualistically every day while you at home so that when you come in the community, you have that same reflection. But what our children do when they look at themselves, they pulling out their guns, they put their chest out, they talking bad to themselves. So when they go out in society, they do the same thing.
Absolutely.
So we got to look at yourself and say, you look good today, no matter what's going on. Compliment one another. That's why a lot of sisters, when they get a compliment from a black man, she always thinking, oh, what you want from me?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, how you doing, sister? We have this hostility amongst each other, but we hospitable against strangers. Try to greet one another. There's this is animosity, but when crackers come around, we smiling from ear to ear. We giving them information they didn't even ask for. That's why we have to get rid of the religion of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, as religion is the gateway of gullibility. If I can get you to believe that this man walked on water, I got a Santa Claus for you, I got the Easter Bunny for you, I got Tooth Fairy for you, and then it's a perpetual system to where they don't need to do anything no more. They can just sit back and just watch it unfold.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Excellent teaching, my brother. And this is why we wanted you on the platform. I could not wait to get you on here for this teaching. And that's kind of where I am with it, man. I think it starts with the self-image, because I feel like it's been a concerted effort to poison us against sisters, and it's been a concerted effort to poison sisters against us.
Yeah.
My actual biological sister, she's a Christian, but she considers herself quote unquote conscious Christian. Even though me and you both know that's an oxymoron, she doesn't necessarily realize that. But one of her big issues, and why I think she hasn't totally crossed over to the conscious community. One, her husband is an avid, diehard Christian. He believes that everything in the Bible is a fact. And so that's a big factor. But the other factor is every man who she's encountered that considers himself conscious seems to be putting down women left and right and saying what women should and shouldn't do. And I don't know who these brothers are, and I haven't had an opportunity to dialogue with them, but I'm trying to figure. I'm like, are these Hebrew Israelites, or what? You know, who are these brothers? And
well, I like to say in the words of our brother Dr. John Henry Clark. He said, "All religions are male chauvinist murder cults," and I make no excuse for neither one of them. All of them have that thing of the woman is the footstool of the man, and you know it is.
Well, she says these brothers are actually conscious brothers, because I wouldn't consider a Hebrew Israelite conscious, but she says these brothers are conscious.
I mean, look at what you say she is. She says she's conscious and she's a Christian. I mean, so
and
anything
so that's
that comes from her mouth when it comes to consciousness, you're like, okay, you have a vague and your opinion right now is like, okay,
it's kind of skewed. So I'm wondering if she's sure about the individuals who she's speaking about, because I can't see a brother that's truly conscious speaking the way she say they speaking about women, Black women in particular. So kind of speak to that, if you will, the sort of strategic rift that they have put between the Black man and the Black woman, and how we go about repairing it.
All right. Ancient Kemet, our deity was Asar, Aset, Haru, the mom, the father, the child, and the child. So once you believe that your God is the family, you did nothing to destroy the family. Now we have a single parent deity, where you got the Father, Jehovah, you got Jesus, and this Holy Ghost, right? So once you have a single parent deity, you reflect that within your reality. God didn't need a woman. I don't need a man. All I need is Jesus, which is a bunch of foolishness. But a lot of those guys that have this perception about our sisters is really have to check himself. But it goes back, as I said in the beginning, restoring your VIPs, your values, your interests, and your principles, because this thing, and white people know that. They know that Black people are strong as a family. Check this out. From 1868 to 1968, 77% of the Black community was raised with a father. Now, from 68 to 2020, 77% of us are raised without a father. What happened? Someone has been studying you longer than you know. That. There's been a concerted effort to make sure that Black families don't come together. I remember I was watching this TV show back in the day called Smallville. And then it's a story about Superman when he was a child, when he was younger. So in this show, there's one particular episode, they said that was ISIS, what they call ISIS. They said ISIS wanted to resurrect Osiris.
Really?
And their whole thing was to make sure that Osiris and ISIS don't come together, because that would be the end of the world.
Wow.
And that's interesting in their story too. That their whole thing was make sure this Black woman do not resurrect this Black man.
Wow.
Because if they do that, they'll be end of the world. So they speak in codes, but you got to know how to decode this stuff. When
And
I saw that, I said, man,
in the
that's
show, were
interesting.
they black?
What'd you say?
In the narrative of the show, were they black?
No, they weren't black. They were white.
Okay.
But
okay.
I know what they're talking about.
You knew what they were talking about, right?
You know what I'm saying? I just want to get the point of the story because I know what you're talking about. You can color them any color. You can make them Mexican.
Gotcha.
But I get where they was coming from with that. To see the black man and woman come together is just something that's a no-no. So you got to make sure that they cause this division. That's why sisters need to really read Scheherazade Ali's book, The Black Woman's God's Understanding the Black Man, and the Black Man's God's Understanding the Black Woman. So we can see where our problems stem from, dissect it, and move forward. We're sick as a people. Sick people make people sick. That's when you look at the media, there's always negative portrayals of black people. They trying to push homosexuality on black people as a norm. It's not a norm. It's a Greco-Roman cultural thing. That's there. I remember a couple of years ago, because I didn't think I had much of a big voice enough. There's a guy just on social media, and I saw this phrase. They had a phrase out that says that gay is the new black. So I thought, I said, nah. We got to have a buffer. We got to have somebody get in between that. So all I did was I just posted on the internet. I said, gay is not the new black. Gay is the old white. And I caught all flack. I called drama. People call me and inbox me, call me all types of names, and I'm gonna unfriend you. You homophobic. I'm like, that's the fact. It ain't. See, but on the subconscious level, that lets me know that this stuff is wrong. Because if I was to say something in a negative light of that, you would say, okay. If I was to say, nah, gay is the new rich, you would be like, oh, there wouldn't be no pushback. But once I say it's the old white, there is this, there you go.
Brother, you hit him with an uppercut and a left hook when you said that.
It's something simple. See, the thing is, you can't soft shoot a bullet. It just gonna come out. I can't say this. I can't put it out slow. It is what it is. See, I'm in control of what I say, not how you interpret it.
Absolutely.
I'm still here, brother.
Okay, yeah, I thought you was muted for a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that time to time.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, see, they want to push this, but really what it is it's a genocidal program. When you have the man want to cohabitate with a man and a woman cohabitate with a woman, you have a state of genocide. Margaret Sanger, who was one of the leaders of Planned Parenthood, said that we cannot let it be known that we want to exterminate the Negro race.
Speak to that, bro.
It was called eugenics, and then when it went south in Nazi Germany got his plan of extermination from America.
Wow.
And when it got negative, they changed it from eugenics to Planned Parenthood. So when you really look at it, Planned Parenthood the plan is not having a parent in the hood.
Wow. Break that down one more time for me, brother. I know you don't want to be redundant, but break that down one more time.
Planned Parenthood is to not have a parent in the hood because they want to have you with these abortions. Before 1975, when abortion was illegal, white women was aborting their babies at huge numbers. So white people sat back like, whoa, wait a minute now. What's going on here? We made it legal to have abortion. So when they legalized it, it turned it on its head. And, and they promote this, you can abort your child and, I ain't got no money. We never had, in this country, two dimes to rub against each other.
I never wished I had a bomb sound effect more than I did when you just said what you said, brother.
It's a fact, brother. It is what it is, man, because we got to understand that there's a global plan. See, when people see the tree, I see the forest. I'm looking at the whole thing. Sometimes it takes trauma for us to look at the whole thing, but don't let trauma happen for you to look at the whole perspective. Like in relationships, some people want to talk bad about a negative about the person they was with after the relationship was over with, but they didn't become that when y'all broke up. They was like that the whole time.
He was
stagger-toothed. He was broke. He didn't do nothing. Or she did this. She was all that, and he was all that while y'all was together.
Absolutely.
So you want to look at it now, but don't pass judgment now. You dealt with that.
Mm-hmm. But that's what we do. We love to say hindsight is 2020, when really we should have been looking at it with 2020 vision the whole time. And that's a popular saying. I say it all the time. Hindsight is 2020. But what we need to start doing is looking at it with clear vision from the jump. So that way we don't have to look back at it and say hindsight is 2020, because we had a clear perspective the whole time. That way we don't have to incur trauma and damage to our psyche, to our physical being, etc. We get out of that situation as soon as it starts to take a toll on us. And so, brother, you, like I said, I wish I had a bomb effect for that jewel you dropped.
Yeah,
But
because the thing is, we have to be serious about being serious, SIRUS, because it's weird war, man. I mean, we just gotta accept this is a race war, and we have to see. There's a Kemetic proverb that I always love to say, and the Kemetic proverb says, "The closer you get to the truth, the easier things will be." Once you accept the truth for what it is, it's easier. As long as you lie to yourself, you're just gonna make it hard on yourself. Okay, you don't want me to come in your store. Okay, cool. I want to come in your store. You don't want me to go in your laundromat. Okay, cool. I want to go in your laundromat. We want to make these people or force them to do something they're not even capable of doing.
Absolutely.
I don't want to integrate with you. You're my enemy. You're my open enemy. It's just like that cartoon thing we talked about with Tom and Jerry. Soon as they saw each other, it was on sight. They don't care if they was on a date. They don't care if they were eating. It doesn't matter if you was talking with your girlfriend, you was asleep. As soon as they locked eyes, it was on sight. They already have that thing on us, but we waiting on them to declare it. Actions speak louder than words.
What Biggie say? Beef is when I see you, guaranteed to be in ICU. So that's what it is with us. That's what it should be with us and the enemy. Let me ask you this, because I interviewed a brother. He go by Jamal, the Great Pan-African, and that's a brother you'll probably get to politic with and dialogue with as we continue to build on the platform and grow it. But he out of South Carolina, and he doing some activist work down there, and he a practitioner of the Ifa tradition, and he wants to get into economics and allowing our people an opportunity to do for self. And one of the things that I find increasingly disconcerting is the fact that we have people of Asian descent, Arabs, coming into our neighborhoods and enriching themselves, by catering to our people via the type of food they selling, the hair care products they selling. And when our people try to endeavor into those same businesses, they get little to no support. A situation that I personally experienced was in Florissant. Was a sister opened up a beauty supply business, and me being a brother that's bald and growing a beard and doing stuff like that, taking my grooming and hygiene very seriously. I'm always looking to upgrade my equipment and my tools, and so I was frequenting her shop, but every time I would go in there, she would just tell me that she didn't have it on hand, but she could order it for me. Well, if I go down to the Arab store, if he didn't have it, he'd make a call and somebody was bringing it up in 15 minutes. And that was hard for the sister to compete with. But being Pan-African, trying to be loyal to my sister, I would be patient and try to wait it out with her. And so one day I just asked her, why is it that you always have to order something as opposed to, having it on hand or being able to get it? And whereas they could just make a phone call. And she told me that Koreans and Arabs got a lock on the hair care. The black specifically the black beauty supply business or haircut business. And it's hard for a black person to get a niche in that market. And I found that to be absolutely disgraceful that we are the top customers for these businesses, for this business, the beauty supply business. Yet our people can't even get a foothold into that industry. And it's the same thing with these, the Miami grills or the New York grills that come into our neighborhoods. Our brothers and sisters are the main ones patronizing these establishments. Yet when we try to open up a restaurant or a food place or whatever the case, we got to jump through several hoops to even get it open. We don't get the kind of support we need, etc. And I'm just like, man, speak on that, if you will, about what is it, if anything, we can do to affect change in those areas.
Well, it still goes back to self-hatred. The white man's ice is colder than the black man's ice. Ice is ice, but you have to go back to self-hatred. And our sister Frances Cress Wells will break down racism being dominated by the 9 areas of human activity. You have economics, education, entertainment. What's that? Education, entertainment, law, labor, politics, religion, sex, and war. Now, all of this we have to tackle, all of it. So those that want to tackle the economic aspect of it understand that it's tied in with education. That's those that want to do the education, that's tied in with entertainment. They got to be tied in with the labor. All of this is, I call it an octopus. All of it has to be addressed because even with myself, I'm a graphic design artist. People have all these excuses for me about, let me see what else that you do. You'll go to a white boy, you don't even see none of the stuff. All he say, I'm a graphic design artist, and you go to him. And then he'll give you something that you don't even like. And you're just like, well, okay, that's the best I can. You'll give him an excuse. But when it comes to me, I want to see your resume. What school you go to? How long you been doing it? Are you sure you can give it to me in the time you say you can do it? There's just always it's this self-hatred. But you have to be patient enough with our people. There's an African proverb that says the doctor cannot get mad at the patient for being sick. So now that I know you're sick, I say, okay, all right, I can deal because you're sick. We're not well. We got to deal with our people as a sick people. So, as you're doing your operation, you say, okay, they missing this, they're missing that, we're missing this, but we have to also come back to accountability. That's the heaviest weight that our people have to carry because for so long we've been relying on other people to supply all our needs. Once you realize that you God and you have to supply all your own needs, now that's a whole nother little monster that we're not used to, but it takes time. See, the revolution is not an event, it's a process. It takes time to heal from all this stuff, man, because my grandma had it wrong. My great grandmama had it wrong. My great grandmama was a Christian. She died as a Christian. My grandmama, she transitioned as a Christian. My parents are still Christian. I've had to break from that. My dad, he was raised without his father. His father wasn't raised, and then I was raised without mine. So that has to stop with you. That has to stop with me because had I not known, had I still been unconscious, I could have been in that same situation. But there's a divine reason why I'm where I'm at, doing what I'm doing because I was in the same situation with brothers. It could have been me, but the ancestors saw fit to guide and help my footsteps as I go on this path of Black liberation for my people. So I don't really get upset when I see there's a difference between a Negro and a coon. We gotta understand that there's a distinct difference. They're not the same. See, a Negro, he moves off ignorance. He just don't know. He might be doing something to set us back or set himself back or hurt himself or hurt the culture. But he's just doing it out of ignorance. A coon knows better, but he's still going to do it. So you got to understand that certain people, we can't paint every black person with the same brush. Everybody's just not going to make it. Everybody's not going to be able to have the stomach to deal with the task at hand. We have a long way to go and a short time to get there.
That's powerful, brother. Powerful explanation, and it make a lot of sense. It kind of go to that teaching to where, you know, my wife being an IT professional, I always say, you know, when the computer is when you purchase a computer and it catches a virus, you don't get upset with the computer for having a virus. You get upset with the person who programmed it, and that's the same thing with us. We've been programmed and sort of steered to behave and react a particular way. And
right, because we've been programmed to keep the program together.
Absolutely. And so with that, speaking on programs, let's segue into the ultimate program, these Abrahamic faiths.
Uh-oh.
Talk to us about your journey through the Abrahamic faiths and how you find yourself coming out of that and coming into consciousness.
Okay. Uh-oh, here comes sensitive subject. As I said, I came from Catholicism. I read that, and we had a chance to read the Bible from cover to cover. That's after I became conscious. But I had that self hatred. You know, I had the same thing. You know, I never been with a white woman. You know, that's never happened. But I did have this whole Jesus is a white thing going on. And so when I started reading books, I read this book called If God Was a Woman. And it was just breaking down what would happen if people started accepting God as being a female deity. And that really was like, well, I've never heard that before. Now, as I started reading, I read Black Man of the Nile and His Family by Dr. Ben. All these books people can go look up. And one of the best books is called The Destruction of Black Civilization. And so I read this book called 16 Crucified Saviors by Kersey Graves. And 16 Crucified Saviors really was one of the books that rocked my whole foundation. Because I didn't know there were 16 crucified saviors. I didn't know that Jesus was number 16. And they talked about all the other deities that came before him. It just really, it really hurt my feelings. You know, it really just took me on this roller coaster. I'm like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me who is this guy named Mithra of Persia? Who is this guy named? Because the Roman Catholic Church didn't always worship Christianity. You know, and where did they get this stuff from? And I started following their trail. They went into Africa and they learned from the ancient Kemites, what we now call Egyptians. And they gave them part of the story. So Europeans never did get the whole story because it's not part of their culture. See, our ancestors never had a religion. We had a divine spirituality. The Europeans they don't understand that. So when you see things of like the mummy and they depictions of the mummy, he's coming out of the coffin, our ancestors never said that. We talked about what's known as the Sahu. Your Sahu is your spiritual body will resurrect. Europeans don't know spirit. So everything he does, it becomes a physical thing. Just like the word psychology. The word psychology is an ancient Kemetic word, which means the study of the spirit. Now, Europeans not understanding spirit, they said psychology is a study of the mind. So that means that a white psychologist can never heal black people because he's not looking at your spirituality, he's looking at your mentality. So, so as I started to read these books and started looking at the similarity, there was this guy named Apollonius Tyana. was a dude. He went to Egypt, was doing miracles. And when you look at the picture of him, he looked just like what we now call Jesus. But this happened before Jesus. And there was a statue of a deity that the Coptic Egyptians created during the Ptolemaic period of ancient Egypt, occupation of Egypt. And the name of the statue was called Serapis. Now, Serapis come from two deities, Osiris and Apis. So it became Osiris, became Serapis. So all they did was just start merging words that's already just like the word dinosaur. Dinosaur come from two deities, Dionysus and Asar, became dinosaur. So all they did was just start taking stuff that already existed and creating something new. And because what happened? So I started to read the Black Heritage Bible, and I realized that they ain't nothing but dipping in the white Jesus in chocolate. And my analysis is if I'm allergic to strawberries, and you say, you know what, this Negro don't like strawberry, let me dip the strawberry in chocolate and give it to him. So you're just trying to get me to grab hold to it, but it's still a strawberry. So that's what the Black Heritage Bible is. So as I started maneuvering through this stuff, man, I started to see the justification of slavery in the Bible, the justification of homosexuality in the Bible, bestiality is in there. Who wrote this thing? Who's King James? Found out that he had a fourth grade education. He killed his mom. He was a pedophile. He was homosexual. So why would God put this divine word inside of a man like this? He also wrote a book called Demonology that people don't know. It's called Demonology by King James.
Why don't people know about that book?
The Bible. What'd you say?
Why don't people know he had that book written, or he wrote that book?
And
the guy who commissioned the Bible commissioned a book about demons.
Right, and then what's interesting is demonology came before the Bible.
Man.
And then before it was called the King James Version, that means that's his version of the Bible, because you had the Geneva Bible, the Wycliffe Bible, the European Bible, you had the Gregorian Bible, you had a lot of these Bibles. Gutenberg was the first Jew to create the Bible. It's called the Gutenberg Bible. You had people called the Sanhedrins that wrote the Bible. So we don't know about all these versions. We know about the King James Version that came out in 1600.
Exact. 1611.
1611. And then he had one of his lovers was William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare put his name in the Bible. So as I started to read, it just threw me up. I had no idea that these things existed. There are a lot of scholars, white scholars, that's really breaking a lot of this stuff down. And after I left it, I just I'm questioning everything from here on out. So that's why when I said that when I left Christianity, I went to Hebrew. That didn't make no sense. I'm like, okay, I ain't going with this. And I went to the Nation. A lot of stuff they were saying made sense, but we don't talk. They don't tell us about the Arab slave trade that existed 1,000 years before the European slave trade.
Let me stop you for a second, because now I get accused of this, so I'm sure you do too. I get accused of picking on Christianity. So let's talk about Islam, be it the Nation of Islam or Islam proper, as I like to say. Break that down for a little bit, and then you can continue going back into your journey. But break down why you feel Islam is just as detrimental to our people as Christianity or Judaism, or the other two Abrahamic faiths, if you will.
Okay. Islam is a AD religion. It's not a BC. It's an AD religion. It's a child of Christianity. So it's an extended version. So the Muslims, they respect Jesus, but they saying that Jesus is not the last prophet. The last prophet is Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah of the Quran. So at the time, the Romans was the dominant force, and the Arabs came with the Africans and said, if you can help us get the Romans off your back, then we'd be cool. So Africa was like, okay, cool, you gonna help us get the Romans off our back? So we came together with the Arabs, and then after we got the Romans off our back, the Arabs replaced the Romans, and they are still on our back today under Islam. So when people say stuff like Africans were selling Africans, which is a lie, what they don't tell you is these were Arab-speaking Muslim brothers who was part of this slave trade. There was not Africans selling Africans. You had Muslim brothers under Islam. If you didn't practice Islam and you practiced something else, they were selling you off, and they ended up selling the brothers that were selling each other. So that opened up this slave trade for the Europeans to where they was just kidnapping you from your land and exploiting us. But we got to understand that the Arab and the white man and the Chinese man, these are all relatives. All of them are related. So we can't make a separation between the three. The Arab, the white man is a Caucasian. That means a white Asian. And the Arab comes from when the Romans would come and have a sex with the Africans, and that's what made what we call Arabs. All of these are blood relatives. It talks about it in the Quran. It talks about it in the Bible as well. But as it relates to Islam, they stole from Africa. Just like the Arab Muslims that are in Egypt today, they're dismantling these sacred monuments. But if that was your people, you wouldn't dismantle it.
Exactly.
They've been trying to blow it down and deface and rearrange things in ancient Kemet to try to write themselves in pre-existing history that had nothing to do with them. So they're getting their self-esteem off our information, but yet we don't get no praise from ourselves.
Absolutely.
So we look to the Arabs for help. We look for the white man for help. But Dr. John Henry Clark said the black man don't have no friends.
None. Yes, sir.
So, the more I learned, I'm like, you can never finish education. I'm still learning, brother. But I just had to get away. I became more spiritual the further away I got away from Western religion. It took me time. I had to go through. I've been in relationships that didn't work based off the religion. A woman told me, if you don't believe in Jesus, you don't believe in this relationship. I'm like, what did that got to do with me?
Wow.
There are killers that go to church. They'll say in the church, well, the devil, he be in church too. How can this God be powerful, but yet he let his enemy go into the church?
Absolutely.
That don't make no sense. If you my enemy, you ain't coming in my house.
You hear me? But
and then even look at all the contradictions. God killing everybody else and sparing the devil.
Come on, bro.
Why is he sparing? But everybody, and then what kind of God will find it to burn how do you burn something that's intangible? Your soul is intangible. How do you burn your soul forever? So you mean tell me this God is going to burn my soul forever for something that my temporary body did? My body here temporarily, but my soul, which is eternal, going to burn forever. Who would get pleasure off of that?
Right, and he knew it before I was even born, because he's omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. So he knew what I was going to do before I was born anyway. So you punishing me for something that you knew I was going to do?
Right, and then even look at stories like Job, the devil had to get an okay from God. You go on to God and say, look, send me who's your best believer. You're going to torture this man to prove a point. What kind of God?
I just went over this with the other brother I was telling you about last night. So you take a being who was absolutely the most disloyal being ever to you, and you allow him to torture and maim and murder the family of an individual who has been nothing but loyal to you, and you expect that to inspire me. Again, the being who was disloyal to you led an insurrection against your kingdom, you kicked him out, and then you turn around and allow him to torture, maim, and kill the children of someone who was loyal to you. Never mind this person who led an insurrection against you and turned against you. You allow him to go to and fro about the earth and come in your presence whenever he wants to. And I'm supposed to be inspired by that story. Come on now. And so it's my submission that I don't believe that anyone really believes this narrative. I believe that they're inspired by it, and I believe that they believe it. But no one deep down really believed this. And I'm going to tell you why I say this.
Okay.
Michael Jackson was once quoted as saying that he became paranoid. And that's why he started coming outside, covering his face and putting these big things, like damn near tents around his body. He just became paranoid to come out in public. He felt like he had no privacy. Because everywhere he went, it was paparazzi, it was fans, it was media. He had no privacy. Now, imagine the paranoia that he felt being one of the most famous people who ever lived, and then being a Christian or a believer in this spook God who always watching you. Yet, you still do fucked up shit. You still sin, or whatever is deemed as sin. You still do it, even though you know he watching you all the time. Now, Michael Jackson had enough sense to say, I ain't got no privacy. I got to do some things to sort of try to retain some sense of privacy. You don't have the sense enough to say, I know God watching me, so I'm going to behave. And so I had a conversation with somebody who said, well, I can repent. But what if you don't get a chance to repent? So you're going to gamble with eternity in fire. Like, I don't know if you ever been burned. I've been burned by iron. I burned myself with a lighter one time, lighting a cigar, the eye of a stove. But we talking about, they say that hell is a different type of fire, right? And it's eternal. And so you're going to gamble with that because you know you can repent. But what if you don't get a chance to repent? So to me, if you really believed it, you would act accordingly all the time. Because if we're talking about the prospect of burning forever, what could be worth taking a chance on not being able to repent? But because you take that chance, that tells me that you don't really believe it. Because what if, like I was driving out, I pulled out of a parking lot the other day. I'm rushing, wasn't paying attention, and a truck was coming towards me. Had he not stopped, that would have been it for me. I wouldn't have had time to say, Lord, forgive nothing. I wouldn't have had time to do nothing but gasp, and that would have been it, bro. So my point being, let's say I called myself being saved, sanctified, and Holy Ghost filled, and I just left my mistress' house, and I turned that corner, and he didn't hit the brakes. I wouldn't have had time to say, Lord, forgive me for cheating on my wife. That would have been all she wrote for Pianki. And that would have been hellfire and brimstone if I'm to believe the narrative. And I'm supposed to believe that you believe that if you're willing to take that chance. This is a psychological misadventure, and people just can't fathom it.
Yeah, because the thing about it is they always say this God is a forgiving God, but people pray crying. Please forgive me, Lord. I used to do the same thing. Even when you look at the Bible, when Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane, when you read it from the Catholic Bible, they said he prayed so hard that his tears turned into blood. That's somebody who really, 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 really didn't want to die. And then his God still allowed this to happen to him. What kind of mercy you gonna get out of God that's gonna let this man? He didn't even want to go. It wasn't even about the sins of the world. This dude didn't want to die in the beginning, but it's all mythology. But it's the gateway of gullibility, as I said before, because who else watches you? Santa Claus. You're teaching your children about Santa Claus. See, in the book I referenced earlier, it's called The Book Your Church Don't Want You to Read. Is God Dead or Just Your Church? One of the things it said in there was fairy tales is what you tell the children. Folklore is what you teach to adults. Religion is both.
Woo.
Both folklore and fairy tale.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
That's all it is, because there is no historical fact that backs this stuff up. See, when you look at our ancestors and their spirituality, we understood that it was a spiritual story. So you don't have to look for actual facts of that. But you can also see that in nature. See, our ancestors studied nature. But those that did not, see, when you go to war against the people, the first thing you do is declare war on their culture. So you script them from their culture and you replace them with yours. So we don't know what to do. We don't know what time it is. We don't know where we're at. We don't know what we're supposed to do. We don't know who we are. And that's the dilemma we face as a people.
Absolutely. I was telling my son how the Greeks, who were really called Hellenes, ain't that ironic that they actual name was Hellenes, but right. They had a concept called Hellenization, where they would Hellenize a nation that they conquered, which meant that they would totally overhaul the culture, totally overhaul the spiritual tradition and everything that nation encompassed. And so Asar, Aset, and Haru becomes Horus, Isis, and Osiris, and Anpu becomes Anubis, and etc. And so they not only would take over a place, they would change the entire corpus and social mores of a place. And that's what these individuals do. And so it's not hard to conceive that that's exactly what they did with this particular religion. And I say that to say this: it's a common debate going right now on whether or not Christianity is the white man's religion. The hypothesis or the notions or assertions, if you will, on one end is that Christianity started in the quote unquote Near East, but was perpetuated even more so in Africa. Even the name Bitsra is an African term for the gospel. The other notion is that Christianity gets most, but not all, but most of its constructs from ancient Kemetic terms and traditions. And they were corrupted by European men, particularly those of the Roman persuasion. Where do you land with regards to that particular debate?
Well, I look at it from the perspective of religions are not under attack, they're being called out. People are calling them out, saying like, hold on, man, let's go and see where this stuff comes from. There are people who have done little things in the world, and there's a lot of things wrote about them. But this dude, Jesus, there is no book, there is no footprint, there are no clothes. You know, you digging up ancient Africans with their whole outfit, shoes, the whole language. You got all that, but this dude Jesus, this dude Moses, who recorded about his own death. But there is no evidence of this. Jesus fed 5,000 people with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread out of the 5,000 people. No one wrote about him. So people are leaving Christianity. They're leaving Islam because they realizing that it's nothing but a control mechanism. If you want to control people, you have to script them down to bear nothing. And our brother Malana Karanga says that white people specialize in memory replacement, meaning that they would take your memory and replace it with theirs. So we don't know nothing of what happened. See, because they got this notion of you got to forgive and forget. So once you forgive and forget, I can redo what I did to you before.
Woo.
They don't, you know, they don't tell you about the African wars that we won. They don't know. They don't tell us about this brother named Menkarai, this brother of what's that? Thought II. This brother was whooping them. Because of him. That's where the word Armageddon come from. Defeating all these Europeans that came in. You know, so we don't know about the sisters, the Kentuckys of Ethiopia that was fighting. They don't tell us about the Zulus. We are a mismanaged gold mine as people. You got people from East India, from Saudi Arabia. They come to America on a one-way ticket. They come into the black community and suck up the economy of the community. Because you have black barbers, but we would rather go somebody else to do our nails, to get our haircut. But we have it within our own, but we have to learn to love ourselves. Go back to the philosophy of Garvey, race first.
There it is. And yeah, because I heard so many different assertions about the church, and I'm gonna be honest with you. When it comes to the black church, I still have a tremendous amount of respect for it with regards to where it helped our people come from. The church.
But this is the thing with the church. The church or religion is like the boat you use to get across the river.
You just stole my quote, bro. It's like you read my mind.
You leave it there. We keep wanting to carry it on our back. Absolutely. Nah, it served its purpose. Okay, I'm across the river.
Absolutely. And when I say you read my mind, that's exactly where I was going. Because it's just like today. I went to church with a family, a brother who been a tremendous had a tremendous impact on my life. It was his birthday. I believe he turned 80. And I write poetry. And I wrote a poem, honoring him. If it wasn't for him, I would have proposed to my wife with a shoestring. He helped me get her first ring. As a matter of fact, he paid for it outright for me. And I had to pay him back and couldn't even do that in full. And he never, made me feel any lesser, for that. Always treated me as if I was one of his sons. My point being, good man. And so I went to honor him and pay him my respects. I still have, like I said, tremendous amount of respect. But that church, in and of itself, for the church, the black church overall, and I say that with full awareness of issues that a lot of them have. Now, having said that, again, I hear these assertions that the Lord said this, the Lord said that, and the Lord told me to tell you this, and the Lord told me to tell you that. And I love that analogy about getting across the river with the raft and then picking the raft up and walking with it after you got across the river. And it's like, okay, if the Lord told you this, I just mentioned that I write poetry. So if I spent an hour or a half hour with Sonia Sanchez or Gil Scott-Heron, I believe I would come out of that half hour to an hour a better poet, just from having been able to pick their brain, right?
Right.
But these people talk to God. God literally is telling them what to tell me. Yet they not smarter for it. They still broke, still poor, and they still gonna die. So what what kind of conversations are you having with this all-powerful, all-knowing, all-present being where you didn't come out better for that conversation? And this is the question I raise because, again, I can spend time with a Maya Angelou, Gil Scott Heron, or Sonia Sanchez. I know I'll come out a better poet. I'm not seeing how we're coming out better for spending time having talked to this guy, and it's driving. It's almost intuitive, and I know it's a neurological misadventure because, or it's almost like a hope that people have to hold on to because it's a lack of belief in self. You know, our righteousness is on filthy rags, and all these different idioms that we talk about how we not nothing and we need this thing to believe in. When in reality, everything that we get done on our own.
That's a fact.
And it almost give you a headache because you the one looked at as odd or crazy because you believe in yourself, but you believe in something that you never even seen. And so, and then, well, you used to believe. Okay, I used to believe it. What's your point?
I used to believe in Santa Claus.
Absolutely.
I used to believe in the Easter Bunny. There's people still to this day that are older people that are shocked when I tell them that rabbits don't lay eggs. That's a mammal. The only mammal that lay eggs is a platypus.
You heard me?
They was like, what in the world? You know, they never heard of platypus.
Right.
It locks you in. Religion comes from the word religer. It just means to hold back, to bound together. It's to
I'm back. Yes, sir.
It's to keep you in a certain. That's what they always tell you. You got to be born again. You got to start all over. You got to tell a grown man who have been through all that and went through, and he got to start all over again. That's to keep you at a immature state.
It's funny you mentioned Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny.
But I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
The Bible scripture that says this. When I was a child, I done childish things. I thought like a child. Mm-hmm. But when I became an adult, I let go of those childish things. But why is it that when it comes to religion, the same place that this scripture comes from, you don't want to let go of the immaturity of that?
Well, and it's the thing. It's funny you mentioned that scripture. Now think about that scripture you just said. But then it's another scripture that said, least you be as these little children, you will not see the kingdom of heaven. And so you got to be born again, like you said, and you have to, least you be as these little children. So again, you mentioned Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. We talk about the Tooth Fairy. You have to act and think like a little kid, because otherwise you can't believe this stuff.
That's a fact.
You see what I mean? Like it's literally telling you how you have to think in order to believe this.
Religion says keep your common sense at the door. Pick it up when you leave. I know people who are psychologists. I know people who are doctors. Go in there and you believe this stuff.
Yeah.
Because they don't ask no question. Don't question God. Don't question nothing. You come in and believe what I tell you, because if you don't believe, you're going to go to this mystery place called hell for you to burn up. So they don't want to question nothing. They're still stuck within this paradigm of being a child, because all this stuff is just real childish. Like, man, you didn't tell me. What they're doing is, if people who sheep herders, see, if you're a shepherd, what a shepherd does, he fleeces the sheep, meaning that he gets the wool off the sheep. Mm-hmm. So what people do is they go into the church. See, the sheep don't need the shepherd. The shepherd needs the sheep. So the people don't need the pastor. The pastor needs the people.
Absolutely.
When the pastor needs something, he tells the congregation, I need this. I need a new helicopter. I need a new plane. I need a new boat. I need a new train. I need a new car. You go to the congregation, but when they come to you, go to the Lord.
There you go.
Cliff Low Dollar wanted the airplane. He got it. Was it $60-something million? He got it.
He
We
got
got the same people who donated this money got to catch the bus to church. They got to walk. They got to carpool to get to church. But yeah, you can get you a new plane.
Yeah.
But they don't think about that. I've seen a video where people just piled up money on the steps of Clifford Dollar Church. He just right, even with Eddie Long, the pedophile. When he died, they buried this man in a $70,000 coffin.
Wow. Wow.
A gold coffin. You put this man in, who molested these children, who he ain't doing nothing but acting like the Roman Catholic Church.
Absolutely.
But we don't want to put no spotlight on white people. We want to zoom in on the negativity of black people. We're acting like white people.
Yeah, everybody want to talk about Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. Talk to me about these goddamn Catholic priests.
Yeah, man, when I was in the Catholic Church, something happened to me. I saw it. Well, I heard the story. So I'm in there, and then we had this organ player guy, because not only did we go to the Catholic church, go to the Catholic school, I went to the Catholic church. And it was this guy he played the organ for. So whenever we go into the church, we'd be in the choir. His name was Father White, black man. And one day I came into the school, I'm like 9 years old, I'm like, where's Father White at? I want to see him. I ain't seen him in a while. They said, they fired him. They had sent him to another school because he molested a boy in the chapel. And as a child, I'm like, nah, ain't no can't no man molest no boy. Because as a child, you don't think, how can you? That didn't make sense to me for a man to molest a child.
Right.
And that same child ended up lynched in the playground. Wow. He molested, but they say he killed himself. But the thing about it is, that happened when I was in the church. This man molesting children, and then all they do when they find out that you molested a child in one Catholic church, they send you to another Catholic church. You don't go to jail; you get sent to another one.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and because they found a church in St. Louis where the back of the church was a cemetery full of aborted babies.
Wow.
The nuns are having sex with the priest, and they don't want nobody in there because they trying to be just like Mary of the Bible. Did you know that Mary had other children?
And
Jesus wasn't the only child of Mary.
Exactly. According to the narrative, and it's unnatural. Think about how unnatural it is to ask a man or to ask a woman to abstain from sex. That's unnatural. Ain't nothing natural about that.
Yeah, but it's a belief system. See, believers don't know, and knowers don't believe.
It's like when the Da Vinci Code came out and everybody was in it. I'll never forget this, man. I was talking to a lady who was professing quote unquote salvation. And I said, what's the issue with the Da Vinci Code? Now, at this time, I'm still considering myself a Christian. I said, I was working with her. I said, what's the issue with the Da Vinci Code? And she said, well, it say Jesus had a wife. And I said, well, and this is how you know people don't really read or explore history. And I said, well, what would be wrong with that? He was a rabbi, right? She said, yeah, he was a rabbi, but no. I said, well, rabbis was allowed to marry. Right. Yeah, but that, I mean, it's saying like he had sex. And I'm like, ain't that what a man's supposed to do with his wife? But she was so appalled by the thought of Jesus having sex. Like sex is such a bad thing. And last time I checked, sex was a wonderful thing. But she was so appalled by the idea of the quote unquote Messiah having sex. And I'm thinking like, oh, sister, like, are you hearing yourself? And like, if he was married, it would be okay, wouldn't it? She was not trying to hear it.
Right.
Again, at this point, I'm a Christian, and I'm still puzzled. Like, what's wrong with a man having sex with his wife if that's what it was? I just didn't get it, and so I just came to terms with the fact that we are taught to suppress sex. Sex is dirty, and we got that from our oppressor. We didn't think like that. and it is unnatural to do so. Who the hell tells a man not to engage in sexual contact with a woman? You begging for something disastrous to happen.
Right. See, the only man that would tell another man not to have sex with a woman is a man that wants your woman.
That's it. That's it. That's
If
it.
I want your woman, I'm gonna tell you and convince you, nah, don't do this, man. And then she gonna run to me.
And who would tell a woman not to have sex, sexual, not to want or desire sexual like that? It's so asinine to even think about.
But that's the Greco-Roman culture. See, the only reason why the white woman was around is because that's the only way that he can come into physical existence. That white man didn't get no pleasure by having sex with that woman.
Absolutely.
He wanted that little baby.
Absolutely.
He want baby hairs.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? They called it pederasty. Even Plato, that lived at that time, he said sex between two men was unheard of. But what met man's highest aspiration of love was little man, grown man, and little boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just look at how he said sex between two men was unheard of. Like that was just an abomination to have two men.
Right.
Oh no, we don't want a man. We want a boy.
It's like the movie 300 when they came to him and he said, "No, we're not like them in Athens. Those boy lovers."
Right.
You know what I mean? He ain't say them gay men. He said those boy lovers.
Right.
I thought about that. I say, you know. So yeah, it was embedded in that culture.
Because even with the cult, there's a story in Greek. See, Dr. Ben said religion is the deification of a culture. So whatever that culture is, that deity is. The Greek god's name was Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
One of the stories was Zeus was flying around Greece as an eagle, saw a little innocent little baby boy, grabbed him, took him to a cave and raped him. It's called the raping of Gadabe. Had sex with a little boy. Because even it was interesting in the Catholic Church, they say, give us your child until the age of 9 and then you can have him. So they can mess that child up, fill on them and touch on them. And, you know, look at the whole concept of you getting your little child sitting on Santa Claus's lap. You got a whole line of kids. This man is getting off. He got your child on his lap. He's sitting there rocking but you don't know he getting off.
Sick.
What do you want for Christmas? You don't know he's a pedophile. You thinking, and then he comes when you sleep.
Right. He comes when you sleep. And he know if you've been naughty or nice.
So if you've been naughty or nice. And you sit your child on this stranger's lap to talk to him. Now your child is looking up to this white man to do something for him, which you know that you're doing.
That you know you
don't get the credit.
I told my son, man, when my son was about 3 years old, because I just could not fathom in my mind telling my son that a white man was doing something for him that I knew damn well I was doing. And he been knowing ever since and people, you know what really bugged me out? People get mad when you tell kids ain't no Santa Claus.
Right. I had somebody tell me, because I don't have children yet, but I've had people tell me, you'll be a bad father if you don't give your child Christmas. I'm like, well, man, you call it what you want. I'm not going to give my child no Santa Claus. I ain't giving him no Easter bunny. I ain't giving him no Thanksgiving. None of that stuff. But it's a child. It keeps you at a child's thing. What they say in the Bible is that Jesus loved the little children.
Stop it. These are the same people who say all liars should have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, but you want me to lie to my goddamn child.
You want me, right? And then you get mad at your child start lying to you.
Yeah.
Children start to figure stuff out around 4 or 5 years old. Like, wait a minute, when I grew up in a trailer park, so just think about that. I grew up in a trailer believing that a Santa Claus is coming down. We don't even have a chimney.
Don't even have a chimney. Same way with me, man. I was in an apartment. Like Brother Copper say, we believe he'll make a chimney, and then when he leaves, he take the chimney with him.
That's so wild. He will make one.
He'll build a chimney onto to your apartment complex. Mm-hmm. And when that joker leave, he take that chimney with him. You hear me?
Ain't that something?
It's crazy. It's
And
mad.
then he make this chimney. He can't even fit in it, but he twinkle his stuff on down, come give you presents, and you supposed to leave him some milk and cookies.
Exactly.
That's a laxative.
Exactly.
So he's supposed, and then they got millions of people who works with the post office, millions of people, and they can't deliver in a day with millions of people working. But this one dude, and you also got to realize Santa Claus never come to Africa. Ain't no Eskimo coming from 10 below 0 degrees and coming to Africa where it's 110 degrees Fahrenheit in the shade. Gonna come in no outfit like that. And then when you look at it, all of it's just silly. And I used to believe the Rudolph's red-nosed reindeer was real, and my mom even used to play that stuff out. And I'm like, look at this reindeer concept. What are they running on? They in the air. What are they running on? But they're running. And he's whipping them, and they coming down this chimney. And it's stuff that we have to stop that.
The first time I saw a reindeer, I was like, how is his nose gonna be red? The first time I saw a real reindeer, like certain things just come at you. You just realize, like, man, I really got duped.
Right.
And going back to Greek mythology and that the motif of this boy loving homoerotic situation with these Greeks. People don't like we talk about Hercules as this great mighty hero. My son is literally gonna be, I tell him he the Black Stan Lee because he's created comic book characters of his own. And he's got over 24 characters that he creating and developing. He only 12 years old, he'll be 13 next month. And he got his own self-contained shared universe with these characters. And it's a diverse group of characters, but he wanted to do Hercules. And I talked him out of it. Number one, from a creative standpoint, it's been overdone. But number two, and probably most importantly, we don't need to do anything with these Greek characters. When we have Shango, we got Ogun, and we have our own Kemetic deities who, if we want to make a superhero based on a deity, we're gonna use one of those. And he ended up using Shango. But the reason I bring it up is people don't realize Aeolus, Hercules' nephew, who I think was like considered his best friend in the TV show, was actually his lover, a little boy who was his lover.
Right.
In the movie Troy, which was one of my favorite movies. You know, I like the sword and sandal genre, but in the movie, it's Achilles' cousin. In the myth, it's his lover.
Yeah, I mean, look at Cupid. What a little baby.
Yeah.
A Cupid. You got this baby going around shooting arrows at you, making you fall in love.
Yeah.
Baby.
And yeah, so you know, we've been this thing has carried over for a long time. It's kind of like you said. In Africa, I tell people all the time, in Africa, homosexual behavior will get you hurt.
Right.
Especially in ancient times, it will get you hurt.
Killed.
And I'm being nice by saying hurt,
right.
But it will get you killed. And so you can't convince me that was a behavior that we initiated, that was introduced to us by these people who, that was an everyday part of that.
And that's one thing when you look at history, a common thread when cultures started accepting homosexuality by the invaders. Egypt, let's go to Egypt, Greece, and Rome, 3 big empires that failed. The common thread between them 3 big cultures, when homosexuality rose, the country went into decline. Look at America. Homosexuality is on the rise. The country is in decline. So that's why they're not killing you because they don't like you. They don't want their country to decline. A lot of African countries have just got their independence. You think we finna just come over here and we just been independent 40 years, and you want us to accept this? Oh no, no, we can't accept it because there is no life after that. The purpose of life is the procreation of life. Who told you you shouldn't have another? You shouldn't have children. That's something that's coming from the outside.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think from the Black perspective that we need to explore. I got a sister who I'm gonna be doing an interview with in the coming weeks. She's a big time advocate of the gay and lesbian, transgender community, and her and I, we're gonna sit down and have a discussion. First and foremost, because I kind of need to tell her where I'm coming from first, because I just want to be clear on where I am with it before we actually have it. I respect her. I respect where she's coming from. But at the same time, especially when we dealing with like the transgender thing, I'm okay with people making whatever choice they want. Just don't beat me over the head with it. Don't beat my kids over the head with it. And this transgender thing, that's what I feel like it's doing. When I got a theory about a man, I put a post on Facebook a while back, and I said, if a man went in the bathroom with my daughters and I snatched his ass out of her, nobody would have a problem with it. But if that same man dress up like a woman and I snatch him out of there, now it becomes a question of whether or not I'm phobic or transphobic or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, it's dangerous because if you allow transgenders into the girls' bathroom, he might not even be gay himself. He might just be a pervert.
Exactly.
But so that don't give him the right to just come in. See, they're not looking at the bigger picture. Yeah. What about the sister who just feels uncomfortable with this man coming into this restaurant with her?
Do you know we were at the library and the manager told me that I should have my daughters go to because they teens. They 15 and 14 now. And this was two years ago. They told me that I should just have my daughters go to the restroom in the kids area, because they were up in the teen area, looking at the books in the teen area, getting on the computer, and they told me that I should let them go to the bathroom in the little kids area, which was in the lower level of the library. And I was like, damn, it's like that. So we ended up burning out, but I'm like, so, like I'm supposed to just be cool with it,
right?
It's a trip. It's a trip.
Yeah, it's a trip. I remember I was at the urinal, and it looked like a woman stood next to me and took a piss. But wait a minute, what the fuck? I didn't want to look, but I'm like, I know what the hell. Standing there pissing, I'm like, let me not say nothing, because Obama put laws in place that if you hurt a homosexual. I know a brother who went to jail for 15 years. He said they changed the law to where if you fight somebody in jail and they go to the warden and say that he fought because I'm gay, you get a minimum of 5 years added to your time.
Yeah, yeah.
So they becoming another protected class in America.
They got more protection than black people do.
And we've been, but this whole push is about depopulation. They want to keep the population down. It's like a mule, right? A mule is a mixture of a horse and a donkey, right? So a mule can't procreate; it's too fertile, so it can't procreate, right? You with me?
I'm with you, bro.
All right. So that mule is gonna die. So it's not gonna have other mules. Only way you can keep producing a mule, you gotta keep having this horse and this donkey have sex with one another. You got to keep that going in order for this mule to come into existence. Even when you look at the liger, you got a lion and a tiger mixing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That thing that came out, nature will allow you to live, but you won't be able to create another one out of that.
Right.
So to say that I'm a supporter of LGBTQ, what you're saying is you want that, you don't want another generation to come after that. It's no different than saying, no, I want a horse and a donkey to keep mate with one another, keep producing this mule.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
Because nature says, I'll allow you to live, but you won't keep creating yourself unless you got to keep having an unnatural situation to be concentrated on and continue to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's it.
But my thing is, see, all behavior is choice. Just say that you chose to be gay. They want to make it seem like I was born this way. Just because you're born feminine don't mean that you're gay.
Right.
Or overly masculine don't mean that you're gay. You just haven't been around enough boys to know what it is to be a boy or know what to be a man. Or you ain't never been around a lot of women. But that's a program they want to keep perpetuating in the black community. Mm-hmm. See, back in the day, it was very few people that was homosexual. You kind of, and then we kind of knew who was doing that. You kind of knew, but it was out. It wasn't out in the open. Now this stuff is they flamboyant with it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm here in Oklahoma, City, Oklahoma now. The Greyhound bus that took me to Tulsa was interesting. Right, that street that at the Greyhound stop, the name of that street is called Pride Avenue, and they got a LGBT flag in front of it. So you get a whole flag, but if I want to have a Pan-African street, oh, no. There's this fight against that. I am about the liberation of black people. I don't hate homosexuals. I got killers in my family. I don't hate them. Hey, Unc, if you keep doing that, somebody gonna kill you.
Absolutely.
I don't hate you for being homosexual. I'm saying that there is no longevity in this. What is your 10-year plan with this relationship? And a lot of times these relationships with these women, if this is normal, check this out. If homosexuality is normal, why do they have the highest rate of suicide? Why the suicide rate higher with homosexuals than heterosexuals? If it's normal, why y'all have the highest rate of killing yourself?
You know, the pushback could probably be the lack of acceptance.
Say it again. But you're in a relationship, so you got the acceptance.
No, I mean like from maybe parents or society.
But you got the acceptance because you're with somebody. Why do you now have the highest rate of suicide?
And society has definitely accepted it. They got more power than most people.
Right. Laws have accepted you. You get money for that. You know what I'm saying? If you're a celebrity and you come out gay, they will give you more money.
Mm-hmm.
So why is the suicide rate high?
Good question.
Because if you gotta think about the heterosexual don't have suicide rates as high as homosexuals because you know it ain't normal. Absolutely. You gotta keep doing all this little extra stuff to keep yourself in that. You waking up to another man.
I'm gonna give you my breakdown, bro, and then you follow up. We're gonna close out in about 10 minutes, but I'm gonna give you my breakdown on where I'm at when it comes to homosexuality. These are my sentiments. If you're a woman, and because again, whatever you choose is what you choose. I'm kind of liberal in the sense that do you, just don't try to force it on everybody else.
Right.
And don't try to make people accept something they just don't want to accept. And so my thing is, if it's, and don't try to make me believe that it's normal or that it's natural, because if it was natural, why do women, and I don't mean to be vulgar, but if it's natural, why aren't they just satisfied being with each other and doing what they do with each other? Why do they have to add or simulate a male member. And
Right.
I have to get specific about what I mean by that, but they go to the store and they purchase an item where they can simulate a male member. You understand? And
Right.
so why do you have to do that if it's natural for you to just be with a woman, right? For a man, why do you have to go to a man's backside if it's natural for you to be with a man? See, that indicates that this isn't natural. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I can't speak to what the attraction, I'm not attracted to men. So I don't know what it is that makes another man be attracted to a man. I can't speak to it. The only thing that I can say is when you have to go above and beyond to have pleasure with the person who you want to be with, there is something unnatural about it, because it's like when I go upstairs, it's going to be easy for me to have pleasure with my wife. I don't have to add a water-based lube. You understand?
Right.
We don't have to go. I don't have to go purchase something to stimulate a male member because I have a male member. And so when you have to go above and beyond or go to extra means to have pleasure with the person who you with, that's the definition of unnatural. And so don't try to make me feel bad for feeling as though it's unnatural. Now, do you have enjoy your life? I'm all for everybody being happy, but don't try to make me feel as though what you're doing is natural, and don't push it down my throat or my kids' throat. And that's all I ask.
Right. Just like with incest, the child is born with a deformity. Now, that's not a normal look for a child to have a deformity because their parents had sex with, brother and sister had sex with one another. Now, that's not a normal child. So don't push that on me as that's how children should look at it, because you're gonna have normal children gonna be like, wait a minute, something abnormal about me. So when it comes to this homosexual thing, why you never see, you might see it, because you always got exceptions to the rules. But the thing is, why you never see two transsexual men together? Why you never see two feminine women together? If both y'all gay, why do you never see that together? So when you see a woman with another woman, one is masculine and one feminine, why can't both y'all be feminine? If you're a man that like men, why can't you be with another man who dresses like a woman too?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you, bro.
You see them together as friends.
They call them lipstick lesbians. Where both of them are feminine, and I respect that more than I do a woman dressing up and acting like a man. I respect the two men who look and act like men. They gay, but they both men. More than I would
see them together, is what I'm saying.
dressing up and acting like a woman.
But what I'm saying is it's rare for you to see them as a relationship
It's
together.
very rare, like you said. But it bugs me out that you a man and you running around acting like a woman and dressing like a woman, and you expect me not to think you don't have something wrong in your brain.
Right.
Again, I'm not trying to judge these people, but for you to dress, if you see me at 6'2", 285 pounds, walking around with a dress on and lipstick and makeup, you can't do nothing but think, damn, my brother needs some medication.
Something's wrong, because even with that, I'm looking at people who, my best friend, good sister, now she's in a relationship with a woman. She's in a relationship with a white woman. And my thing is, where do you get your image of a man from? She look like a Lil Wayne. I'm like, what happened to you? Because her name was Rashonda. Now her name is, she's like, I want you to call me Sean.
Mm.
There's no way I'm gonna call you Sean. Come on, really?
Hmm.
And then you got a son. I know this other woman. She calls herself a trans man.
Wow.
I never heard that word before, trans man. So she's a woman who believes that she was a man born in a woman's body. But yeah, you got children and grandchildren. If you believe this whole time that you was a man, why would you lay up with another man and give birth to a child?
Wow.
There's a mental disorder.
I saw a picture on Facebook. It was a trans woman and a trans man that had a relationship. So
Had a
the
baby.
man was pregnant,
Right.
right? And the woman is holding, the trans woman is holding
I hate to be that child.
brother. I'm like, dude, man. So anyway,
The extreme that you have to do to sustain that type of mindset. Because no matter how messed up you might be, when you wake up, you with another man, you're like, shit, let me take more of this medicine.
exactly.
Let me take more of these pills.
Exactly.
Let me think of something else, because think about it, your suicide rate is high because you know something ain't right about what you're doing. You already got acceptance from the government. You get all these benefits by being gay, but you know that there's something that just ain't right. But to each his own, man. I'm for the liberation of black people. You're a black person, you need help, I'm willing to help you.
There you go.
But you know, all this other stuff we have to work on, because you know, I can't really bash the brothers and sisters who's homosexual and not talk about the brother who's a Christian. I'm saying who believes that God is white, and you looking up to other people. So we are sick on all levels.
Yeah, or the drug dealer, or the hooker, you know, the heterosexual, you know. So we got a gamut of issues that we got to tackle, and that's just one simple. And when I speak with that sister, man, I might have you on to I might just have you interview. So we'll talk about it and kind of go over because you know we always want to keep it respectful. We want the sister to come back.
Well, you know what? I would love for you to, if possible. My brother, he's a psychologist. He has a bachelor's degree in psychology. So I would love to have him to interview her, and then we can just sit back and see how they go. Because by him being trained in that area, because he's in a nation now, so he has a, and then you know he's educated by the white man, but he's still a black man.
Okay. And
so I like to see where he's coming from with it, because me, as my being a heterosexual black man, I come off insensitive.
Right. I got another sister who I'm gonna be interviewing, and I actually know this sister very well, who's also an advocate for gay rights and whatnot. Like I said, I definitely be handling that one because I know her personally. So yeah, we're gonna get it in with all spectrums. And she's also pro-black and conscious. So you know, we'll see if that's considered should be considered a contradiction and all of that. So we'll definitely get into it. What I'll probably do is just have you sit in, and then you can kind of interject. I'll have you sit in with the sister who I actually know personally. And if it's anything where you feel, you know, you want to interject and ask a question, you can. Because she a lot more, the one sister who I was talking about at first is a little more touchy and sensitive with regards to the material we're tackling. The other sister is a lot more thick skinned with regards to it.
I love to be a part of that, bro.
So yeah, we definitely gonna chop it up too. So yeah, bro, we tackled a myriad of topics, and we definitely gonna have to do this again. Maybe even schedule something once a week. Because like I say, my cousin Shabaka, who will be meeting as well, he got a saying that goes, knowledge is infinite, therefore evolution is inevitable. And I think you are the quintessentially encompass that statement. And so we can definitely build on a gambit of topics from week to week. So we probably I'm gonna be looking to try to schedule something with you every week.
I definitely appreciate that, brother. I'm glad to be able to be on the platform to share the information as I see it, and just help heal our people, man, because we have a lot of issues that we have to deal with, a lot of things we got to be held accountable for, and just move forward, man. Because the devil gonna do what the devil gonna do, and the guy gotta do what the guy gotta do.
100%. So what we got going, man? I'm gonna continue to do more interviews like this one I did with you today, and the one I did with the brother yesterday. And also, of course, we're gonna have some upcoming discussions between some brothers who, like me and yourself, are conscious and studying or practicing African spirituality, and brothers who are in the Christian tradition and the Hebrew Israelite tradition. I'm looking for a brother that's in the NOI tradition and the Hebrew Israelite tradition. So I'm also looking for a Moorish brother. So we're gonna have some discussions and some debates coming up. I'm just trying to figure out if we're gonna do it, league, or if we just gonna have some debate, just kind of leave it open ended. So we'll kind of discuss.
And I'll definitely link you up with people who are from those branches. As I said, by me being a Pan-African, I'm for any progressive black movement. So I know the Christians, I know the Muslims, I know the Moors, I know the Hebrew Israelites. They have they thing against me because, especially Hebrews, they whole thing is we not conditioned because of the Africans. That makes it normal, but we need each other. At the end of the day, man, let's just stay black and our brother. What I always tell people is, I'll continue to see you on the battlefield, God.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got two strong Christian apologists, brother by the name of Antoine Simon, brother by the name of Jerome Green. Real good brothers. And then I got the brother Jamal, the Pan-African Wilkerson. We'll get to know and chop it up with all of them. And then I got yourself. Like I say, I'm looking for more an NOI member and a Hebrew Israelite. So anybody that may be interested in coming on and chopping it up, let me know. But
yeah, as I said, my brother is NOI. I'm in here in Oklahoma. Had to see him do one of his lectures, and we can definitely schedule a thing where he can talk to you about his experience within the nation, what he's going through, and question him about some things. And he's very open. He's my biological brother. He's my only brother that has the same mother and father as me. And good dude. We just split when it comes to religion. I just don't subscribe to religion. I subscribe to black people helping black people.
There it is. And that's powerful. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna holler at you about setting that up. We also got the brother Kim Ra from Temple of Head Roots. So I'm also looking to get an interview with Sabo Morris and Nephew. So yeah, we're gonna do what we can to build a platform, and I'm absolutely honored that you saw fit to be a part of it. I'm gonna let you close out, brother, and we're gonna end it, and until we can chop it up the next time.
Well, I continue to see you. Oh, you want to say a prayer?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. To the divine energy, we want to thank the ancestors for being here, staying with us, giving us strength, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for their contribution and allowing us to make our contribution on this planet. Thank the unification of me and the brother and everybody else that comes to this platform to learn, to listen, and to liberate. Ashe. Hotel, brother.
Hotel, my brother. I definitely appreciate you. I'll see you on the battlefield next time.
Peace.
Peace, bro.